It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Tyrone Lowe. Hello, everyone. My name is Tyrone Lowe, host, owner of T Lowe Video Productions. I have a special guest of somebody that I met when I was on the Bob Lee Show, and she's here today, and we're going to discuss some issues. In the House of the Legends, we have Aniya A. Welcome to the show, The Legends.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to touch on some bases of racism, and we're going to talk about some domestic violent issues. And I know you have a story to tell the viewers, so let's start. First of all, where are you from, Aniya?
Oh, so I'm from Brooklyn originally, and I'm Haitian, so my parents are from Haiti. So I say for all those of the Haitian background.
Okay.
And yeah, I grew up down in Brooklyn off of like Rockaway Parkway between Church and Linden, Canarsie, Flatbush, shouts out to them, and relocated to South Florida at a very young age. So I grew up, you know, partly in New York and partly in Florida, where I experienced a lot of racism in South Florida. So I'm glad we're talking about this. I gotta let it out.
Okay, that's great. Let's talk about your story.
Yes.
You went through an experience, and I think that viewers should actually know about it. So let's just start with that.
Well, thank you so much again, Tyrone, for even having me on your show. It's such an honor.
I am so honored and flattered.
Yo, I love it because how we met was real interesting and amazing, and the timing was so perfect, right? And so my story is basically 2.5 years ago or so now, in April 2017, I was in my apartment where I was trying to live my best life, you already know, and a gunman came to my door to try to kill me.
Wow.
Let's start there.
Okay.
And what's crazy about my story actually is the fact that since I moved into the apartment, which was less than a year, I didn't even live there for a year. People kept coming to my apartment trying to buy drugs from me, knocking all types of hours of the night. And at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, I don't even smoke weed. I know it's legal and everything. People do it all the time, but I didn't even have weed to even give somebody, like even if I had it, you know. And so what happened was I was really scared for my life because when you keep getting these same knocks, you're trying to figure out why are people knocking and asking about this, you know? And so I got in contact. I didn't want to call the police because I had just moved into this apartment. So I didn't want to make a nuisance because of people trying to, you know, and I just thought it was like random situations. And so I got in contact with the local politician that I had a very close relationship with. And he and his team was able to get in contact with the DA's office. And miraculously, the knocking stopped for a while. So I was excited. And because I travel so much and I'm a business owner, I was never home anyway. Fast forward, in the month of March, the end of March, was when the man comes to my door and tries to push his way in. Now, there was 2 separate incidences, and so I'm going back to that particular situation to tell you about the next one.
Take your time, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
And what happened was my ex and I were talking in my door, and my ex was leaving. I was like, yo, you gotta go. I have a meeting. I gotta get ready. You know how you guys are like, baby, sweetheart, whatever, you know, macking it. And then all of a sudden I hear him say, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't come in my girl's place. So the gunman tried to push his way into my apartment from that day.
Okay.
And we had no idea who he was. So he opened the door and said, babe, do you even know this cat? What is he doing here? And I was like, I don't know him. And at that moment, he realized what I had been talking about for almost a year. I was telling people about these incidences because nobody believed me almost. And so fast forward, it was the end of March, and then the straw that broke my back was when he came back, you know, at 3:30 in the morning or so. And I was dead, knocked out sleep. And I heard the banging on the door, and I'm assuming that it's the police or something somewhere in the hall. Like, I didn't think it was for me. And then that's when I said, yo, because I could see him through the peephole across the apartment.
Wow.
God saved me on such a miraculous level. Like, nobody understands, because just before he came back, and I have goosebumps all over my body still when I share the story, my peephole, like, door thing had broken off. So I could see him from, like, a distance. to tell him, you have the wrong place. I already told you. And he
Right.
said, I have the right place. Open the door or I'm going to effing blow it down. I'm going to kill you, whatever, whatever. Put the gun to the peephole and was going to start shooting. And I literally screamed, the loudest scream I've ever screamed in my life, grabbed both of my cell phones off of my table. Thank God they were charged.
Right.
And I jumped out the window, down the fire escape, and I had to call the police from there.
Wow, that's so crucial. And I know that you still remember these facts and
Yes.
things of that nature. How long did it actually get for you to actually get over the situation?
I'm still not over it,
Okay.
Tyrone. I can't sleep in an apartment by myself.
Okay.
I can't, like, if I hear a knock on the door and I don't know you come into my house, guess what? I'm shivering.
Wow.
Trauma is real.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. I just moved into another place, and like I said, I can't even stay there and hear anything
Right.
happening without me getting afraid and thinking this man is coming back for me. And this
Wow.
happened 2.5 years ago, right? And so I called the police from that fire escape, and what gets me to this day is the fact that it was snowing still, and literally I'm in this freezing weather, and I'm about to have a heart attack because I don't know if this man is gonna shoot through the door and come for me. Because even though I don't know him, I don't know what he knows about. I don't even know this man. But then also I couldn't like knock on the window in front of me because at the end of the day, I don't know who they are. In New York, you just live in a building, you don't know
Right.
everybody. And it was a very dangerous situation. So I still have memories,
Flashbacks.
flashbacks, panic attacks. I'm doing a lot better because I've gotten counseling, but it's so real. It's still so real.
It's obvious that the apartment that you lived in was actually a drug-infested type of environment, and you just got caught up in that angle,
Caught up.
And stuff. You do a lot of outreach right now,
Yes.
corresponding to your situation and actually helping other people that's been through situations like yours or similar to it.
Right.
And so let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. And I like to share that right before this occurred with this gunman, I was actually looking for a grant to beautify my neighborhood because I had heard about a program where literally it's the Citizens Community of New York City that gives out about $3,000 to neighborhoods to make the neighborhood safer and more beautiful. So here I am as a good Samaritan, a woman of God or whatever, and I go to look for this grant to beautify the neighborhood, and then they try to kill me, and I have no neighborhood to kill, to beautify. It's funny now, because when I look back, it's like the way life works is so interesting. But I say that to say I have a little bit of humor now, because as I look back on it, not only am I stronger, but like you said, I'm helping others. So fast forward, I've gotten 2 grants, one from the Citizens Committee of New York City, God is faithful, and then also from the gun prevention violence community over in the mayor's office. And literally what we were able to do was set up where I can have events in the community and bring other people on that are traumatized, that are victims, that are not getting the help or the resources so that we can better ourselves, but also better the community. And it was interesting because at the time of me getting the grants and the funding, I finally found my own apartment. So I've been kind of delayed with the process, but we're still going forward 1,000,000%. And I'm excited because we just did another interview on TV in regards to the whole process. And I wanted to say, if it's okay, I wanted to shout out Pix 11 because they covered the story, which I would love to get you guys connected as well.
Right.
And we have about 25 members in my organization already. And I tell you no lie, the people that are working with me all have been through so much and are still traumatized, from houses being blown up because there was a drug situation in their neighborhood or what have you, or somebody stole or what have you, and they survived that. Then we have another woman who almost got gutted by her own boyfriend. The police didn't help her. And all of these situations are so crazy and so traumatizing, but these people that are working with me and that are part of my now baby coalition, we are giving back in such a way to help others as well. So I'm so thankful and excited.
Well, I through all this whole ordeal, I think the drug thing could be stopped. I think the political officials have a whole lot to do with it because I can't see a nation as strong as we are can't filter what's going in and out.
Thank you.
I feel that because drugs are so profitable, I believe that they have a lot to do with it as well. I'm not ashamed to say it, because it is what it is.
Talk about it.
I feel that if they have the power and the glory to assassinate other people's characters and deal with, miscellaneous, I would say, crazy things that they shouldn't even be involved with instead of trying to take care of home. I don't think a lot of this would actually occur.
Exactly.
I feel as a person that see a lot in society, a lot of things can really be responsibly dealt with.
Exactly.
And I feel that these people that's running for office, the Republicans and the Democrats, I don't think they really care.
They don't.
And for one reason, they can't actually identify with with that unless they have some type of I would say, experience with it. But we're getting ready to go to a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about some domestic violence and things of that nature. So we'll be right back, so just tune in.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
My assignment, my calling is to inspire, uplift.
You have to make sure your people are partying.
All I want to do is just bring joy to the dance floor and watch people dance.
T-Lo. Hi, my name is Tyrone Lowe. I'm back with my friend Aniya. We was talking about some issues that's really occurring, that's really around the nation that needs to be addressed. And due to the fact that political officials aren't really doing their jobs, as I should say, to actually filter and try to actually come to a conclusion to resolve these situations, we're just going to talk about it. And hopefully they get to actually watch this and be considerable. So Aniya, we're going to talk about domestic violence.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Define what domestic violence is to the viewers.
Wow, domestic violence is such a heavy topic, and it has so many different levels.
Okay.
But totally, I think it's like interpersonal, like when it comes to a spouse situation, like if you're in a relationship, now there's so many different types of ways of relationships. So man to man, woman to woman, man to woman. Also domestic violence is anything in the home, in the community, and things like that. So, and there's so many different levels again.
Let's talk about domestic violence with men and women in general. I think domestic violence, from what I'm seeing, has a lot to do with mindset.
Yep.
Two people are not really ready for each other, envious, things of that nature, which makes them react.
Right.
So tell me, let's talk about some experiences that you know about with domestic violence.
I'm so glad we're talking about it. One of the reasons why I also push so hard is because at a very young age, I witnessed domestic violence within my own family.
Okay.
Let's start. I may get emotional. Hopefully, I don't get emotional today.
It's okay, we got Kleenex.
Thank you. Shouts out to the Kleenex. My cousin, well, let's start with my aunt. My aunt married a man who was very successful. She was very young, and he was a little older, and he was an engineer, very brilliant man, and he had a drinking problem, and we didn't know as a family unit that this was happening behind closed doors. And the long story is really out of control, but the short version is he stabbed her, he tried to kill her while she was pregnant and while she held her baby in her arms.
Wow. And
ended up with like 40-something stitches. I can't recall exactly. I was 12 when this happened.
Okay.
So here's my best friend, my auntie. I look just like her, and she's getting stabbed up by her man who's supposed to be loving her and protecting her. So from there, I was like, yo, this relationship stuff is not for me. I'm going to just be a business owner. I'm going to travel the world. That's all I wanted to do. And then moving forward, like God convicted my spirit, all that, you know how you go through the motions and everything. And then I started to see life differently. Like, okay, maybe I do have a way out, and maybe that situation won't happen to me. Then a few years later, I am only, I think, 18 at the time when my cousin, my favorite cousin, it always happens to the favorite ones, was killed by her fiance.
Wow.
And it still hurts.
I can imagine that. If you had the power to actually resolve domestic violence, what will be your process?
Communication.
Okay.
Communication. I don't know what triggers people, honestly, to hurt people. I don't know what triggers people to to take people's lives, they don't consider those around those people. Communication, if you know somebody, right, and if you are in a situation with them, it doesn't matter, friendship, otherwise, do not think hurting them is going to resolve anything. Because you're not just hurting them, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting those around them. I have a poem that I've, stated and shared. What about the cousin? Yo, you took my cousin's life,
Right.
but you didn't take into consideration, here's her baby cousin right here who still has to grow up. Here's her mom who now has muscular sclerosis because of that shock and that stress, and she's probably sick for the rest of her life. People in doing things need to consider the outcome.
Right.
You can't just go around thinking that whatever beef you have with somebody, you can just hurt them and take their life and it's gonna be okay.
Right.
Communication is the biggest thing that we're lacking in our communities. Because if people took the time to really share their feelings, their hurts, their problems, right? And not just act upon that moment,
Right.
then we'd have a lot less violence.
Could domestic violence also be a part of self-afflicting, where
Of
people want to
course.
actually hurt themselves as well?
Yes, because actually with my cousin, homeboy killed himself right after. So it was a murder-suicide. And he's lucky, because, yeah, he's lucky, put it that way. But, and then there's another factor. You're in the ministry, you know about this too. Generational curses.
Yes.
Spirituality.
Yes. Yes.
Demons, etc. Look
Yeah.
how America was founded, for crying out loud. Let's talk about politics.
Okay.
Let's talk about this country. You can't steal people from a whole nother country several times, because you've gone around the world and done this kind of stuff, and think that once these people end up in one location, everything is going to be honky-dory.
No, it's not going to happen.
Especially after the abuse that
Yeah.
we took.
Right.
Right? So psychologically, you have to, and that's what I studied psychology, because I wanted to learn why people did what they did and try to help people at the same time. So I do it on a daily basis, even though I'm mostly in media.
Right.
But my thing is, if you really took the time to understand the foundation of this country or the issues that we are still battling,
Right.
then speaking to people, ready? Not just taking these drugs or
Right.
medicating yourself. If you really thought about talking to somebody and talking things out, you would see a major difference. However, what's interesting is, years ago, I don't know if you know this or not, but let's talk about this. Years ago, the DSMV, which is like the diagnostics for mental health, et cetera, has turned into a monster, in my opinion. A lot of people may come at me. I don't care if you guys come at me, because you don't understand where I see, and I studied abroad in London, England, where psychology was founded. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. But anyway, everything that is attributed to mental health illness is almost like, oh my God, it's not your fault. You're acting this way, but it's not your fault because you have a mental health problem. There's no accountability. So when you think about what's happening, right? If you continue to tell people it's a mental health thing, or you know what, you're just sick, then they're gonna continue acting sick.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving them a solution, right? So what happens, especially with let's talk about the politics and the people in office or in the judicial system, et cetera.
Right.
Do you know what happens? Let's say Tommy down the street goes and robs Billy. Billy ends up getting hit in the head, whatever. Now he's on the floor. The police are being called.
Right.
The ambulance is being called. Then somebody has to go to the court. And it's a money machine.
Right. Exactly.
It's a money machine. And then because they can't find a reason to keep Billy for said violent crime, they're letting him out on his own recognizance. And now he's going to become a repeat offender because he never, got anything done to him. And even if he did, he likes his street life. Nobody ever sat with him, figured out why the hell he does what he does.
Right.
And it's a continuous rigmarole.
All right. You work with Reverend Al Sharpton.
Sure do.
And explain the relationship with him and exactly what do you guys do?
First of all, I love Daddy. Okay, for those that are watching, that is Daddy right there, because my pops, my real blood father, is actually in South Florida, so I had to adopt Reverend Al Sharpton. Okay, let's start there. I went to the National Action Network after a young man by the name of James C.B. Gray told me that the National Action Network could help me with my situation. The police weren't doing anything. The local politicians, heck, one politician lived next door to me. He fled the neighborhood because it was so dangerous and never even assisted a fellow constituent. That's another story for another show. Anyway, Reverend Al Sharpton opened his doors. I went to legal night. I got a free attorney through Reverend Al Sharpton and the community, and I've been under him ever since, working and giving back and paying it forward. Why? Because out of everybody I went to, he was the first one to stand up and say, we can do something about this situation and put people in position. And now I'm constantly working with people in our communities. And shouts out to the team that I'm working with now, Dee Perkinson, aka Derek Perkinson, who is the field director there.
Right.
And then we have William Allen, who's the crisis director, and just so many other greats. And I meet people constantly that are either battling something through National Action Network and getting the help, or they're coming out of something and they're doing exactly what I'm doing and paying it forward.
What is NAN, and what does it actually stand for?
National Action Network.
Okay.
And we meet at the House of Justice.
Right.
HOJ, like a lot of abbreviations. And NAN is an organization that was started like almost 30 years ago.
Right.
To help people. Like Reverend Al Sharpton, a lot of people give him a bad rap because of what he did in the past or what have you. Listen, I wasn't even born when the guy was doing whatever. I don't care. I'm looking at the man today who cares about the people, who opens his door freely and says, you have a problem in your community? Come, let's talk about it and let's resolve it. And through that, I've made so many great connections, including but not limited to Senator Brian Benjamin, who I always shout out everywhere I go. I just honored him recently. My organization and the people that are working with me, Aisha Wilson, Valerie Wilson, Cindy Philemon. My God, meeting Monica Morales the other day.
Okay.
Right? I went to NAN to volunteer, and I end up on Pix 11, and I'm doing all this work because I know the value of giving back.
Okay.
And there's so many more great people that I'm working with. Reverend Al Sharpton's daughters, oh my God, Ashley and Dominique Sharpton, well, Dominique Sharpton Bright. These young ladies, they have a program as well called NAN Youth Huddle, which I would love for you to, come by sometime on a Monday evening, and that encompasses.
I sure will.
Yeah, the young people coming.
I'll take your invitation.
And you need to definitely come by anyway. So we'll make it
most
a couple
definitely.
of trips. Yeah.
I'm flattered to have you here, and it's only God sent that you're here to really give up this type of information to people. And it's funny that people go through things, but there is an antidote to this stuff, and we have to stick together, and we have to actually pledge each other,
right.
and look at politics and all these domestic issues for what it is.
That's
right. I'm glad that you're here, and I want you to come back. We was going to touch on the subject of human trafficking, but I'm inviting you back so we can touch on that and other things as well.
We will, because I told you, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but
it's okay.
Literally, my phone lines are flooded. I think you guys are going to post up my information, my social media.
In a minute.
Thank you. It's flooded. The people have real issues. Like I told you before the show, I had no idea when I started Neighborhood Violence Survivors Alliance what response I would get.
Right.
Because sometimes when we go through things, we think, oh, we're the only ones, or we're with our significant other and we're trying to, recuperate. Shouts out to my significant other who's by my side,
Right.
But what happens is we forget that there are people all over that are dealing with similar or worse. And so at this point, Tyrone, it seems like people are really needing a space to come to and somebody to speak with. So I may need you to come by sometime too.
I definitely will.
Because we're looking at spaces now. God is good. We have a guest in the building. We're not going to say too much about that yet, but we're working on
that's
some
going to
stuff.
happen that's going
Near
to happen.
future?
Tell the viewers how can they actually contact you, Aniya.
833-334-6468, 833-334-6468, extension 8. And then you can go on my social media, Neighborhood Violence Survivors Alliance on Facebook, and it's shortened on Instagram, which is NVSANYC. Again, NVSANYC. I have a team, and we're looking to speak with you guys. So do not be a stranger, especially, now let me say this. I know we're probably short on time, but let me share this. If you are going through anything and you need somebody, and people have turned their backs on you, or you feel alone, or you feel desperate, or you feel suicidal, do not give up on life. Do not do this alone. We're here for you.
Thanks for having you to my show. I am so honored to have you here. This is another T. Lowe video production, and I hope that you guys got a lot out of this because the struggle is real out here. So I hope you guys got something out of it. And Tune in for my next episode. Thank you very much.
I'm just here with this punk in it. You mean what punk? I only live with one punk in this house. Imagine, I just come back from football and I got a sandwich. Swear down! Yeah, that's because your girl looks after you, bruv.
Swear down.
No. And she got a cheek to be wearing my shirt. She gotta like she's washing up. There's not even nothing to wash up. There's nothing in the house. There's nothing ever in the cupboards. Nothing in the fridge. I don't even know why I made her move in with me, bro, to be honest.
So why don't you go and do some shopping?
Yeah, bro. What? No, I thought she just answered me back. No,
I did. I said, why don't you go and do some shopping?
hold on a minute. Stay on the line. What did you say?
I said, why don't you go and
So
do
you're
some
answering
shopping?
me back? You're good for nothing. You don't do nothing in the house. You're washing up and there's nothing to wash up. Yeah? You're offering me sandwiches.
So why
yeah?
don't
And
you do it?
stupid bloody Red Bull. What? Does it look like I even drink
So
that?
why don't you do it?
You know I'm trying to get big out here.
So why don't you do it? Why
Do
don't
you
you
know
do
why I do
anything? Why do it with me?
Keep your mouth closed. Yeah? You're only good for one thing.
One
in
thing?
fact, I don't even know if you're good for that even, man.
Why do you treat me like this? Why? What have I ever done to you for you to treat me like this?
Hey, blood, stay on the line. What? What? Who are you talking to, man? Who are you talking to? Shut up! Catch yourself answering me back. Are you crazy?
Leave me alone.
What do you mean leave me alone? Answer me back now. Go on. Answer me back then. Huh? What, you ain't got nothing to say now? How do you like eating crusty bread? Huh? You're in the house all day but yet still you're putting on makeup. Does it look like you're going anywhere? Huh? Now look what you made me do with my bread on the line. Yeah? You're stupid. You're good for nothing. And I told you already about this weave in my house. I don't like it, innit? Yeah? So you can go and poop my shirt. Stupid girl. Yeah? The next time you answer me back, you see this? You see it? Stop crying. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna leave you today, innit? The next time I'm gonna beat you like a baby, you hear me? Stupid girl. Hurry up and come in, man! Did you hear what I said? So come in this room now! You know what time it is? I Rachel, if I have to call you one more time.
DJ Tyrone Lowe.